What do you think they're going to say when they see you on the podcast?
I definitely see what people say online.
Or then there's always the industry plant gag.
I know.
You're not an industry plant, right? What would you say to the people that feel like, okay, you're just capitalizing without concern?
I know who I am.
So who are you?
I don't think I'll ever be someone who doesn't care about what people think.
You're very good at deflecting.
Because of who Drake is, it's like, you know that interviewing him is going to change your career.
When's the last time you talked to him? I am super excited to be talking to my guest today. Her podcast is becoming quite iconic, and she's had such a fascinating rise as an entertainer. Okay, she's usually the one asking the questions, but today we're going to switch things up and put her in the hot seat. We're going to dig deep as we discuss how to blend two things that don't normally go together: performance art and journalism. Welcome to the show, Bobbi.
Thank you for having me.
So the first question I have to ask you is, are you in character right now?
I'm not.
You're not, so I'm getting the real Bobbi.
You are.
Okay. Well, let's start at the top, because at first, when I heard about you or when I saw your stuff, you did a lot of mom content.
I did.
And then you kind of walked your way into journalism. Did you have a journalism background?
No, I did not. I just wanted to start a podcast, and I kind of modeled it after a podcast that I listened to.
Which podcast was that?
How I Built This with Guy Raz.
Ooh, How I Built This. Shout out to Guy.
Yeah.
So when you initially said, okay, I'm going to do this podcast, did you know what it was going to be about? Did you immediately say just like, okay, it's going to be kind of like entertainment, I'm going to take on this persona?
So in the beginning, my plan was that I was just going to interview rich people and figure out how they just make them uncomfortable, I guess, and ask how they're rich and what it's like to be rich and stuff. But I very quickly, I thought I was going to be a good interviewer. I realized I wasn't. So then it just became a parody. And yeah, that's how it became just a parody of a good podcast.
So how would you describe the character that you play on your podcast?
A horrible interviewer. It's really nice too seeing your setup. It's so legit. Everything is so legit in here. Mine's not. It doesn't I don't have a cool, this is so cute, everything in here.
Thank
but mine
you.
does not have any of that. I would just describe her as a horrible interviewer.
Interesting. So horrible. You came in knowing, okay, I was maybe going to be a good interviewer.
Yeah.
I'm not, but maybe I should just go with this.
Yes.
So what are the similarities between the character that you play and you, the real Bobbi?
The similarities. I mean, I am really awkward in real life. So yeah, it's not always an act. I genuinely I'm really awkward at times. So
that's the real part of it.
That's the real part.
Okay. Well, do you think the character kind of helps you?
Yeah.
So how?
Because I can I know that I'm acting, so I can just say things that I normally would never. I can talk to people I wouldn't talk to. It's just that person's more confident than I am.
Yeah, they're confident in their awkwardness. They lean in.
Yeah, I don't lean in real life. I'm get me out of here. This is so uncomfortable everywhere I go. But yeah.
Interesting. Well, having a podcast myself, I'm learning a lot of different things, especially behind the scenes. When someone comes into your space, whenever you're recording, are you in character right away? Do you kind of intro yourself in the beginning and then you're oh, by the way, we're about to get into it, so just know I'm going to be extra? Or do you kind of surprise them?
I feel most of them have already seen it, so they kind of know what they're getting. But I definitely always start off normal. There's been a few times where it's not, I don't know. It's just there was one that I did and it's going to come out this week.
Okay.
With Michael Cera.
Oh, that's amazing. I live for him down.
I know it was part of a campaign.
Okay.
And because it was, I walked into the room and had to immediately be in character, but he's an actor, so he kind of just was in it. And it was great, but it was so awkward at the end. Because they're just okay, well, yeah, it was so nice meeting you. All right, bye. It was weird. So that's the weird part.
You said at the beginning that you kind of like the idea of it being awkward and pissing off these rich people, so to speak. But now people know the show. So how has that changed how you can approach the interviews? Because now it's people come in knowing Bobbi's going to do some weird shit.
Yeah.
How am I going to kind of take control of the interview? How do you balance that?
I don't know. I kind of just wing every interview I do and just feed off of the energy of the person I'm interviewing. I feel you can kind of tell what I can say, what I don't know if we're kind of just this. I just feed off their energy really. So I don't know.
Have you ever had to break the character down? Has it ever gotten stalled to a moment where it's just they're getting mad or it becomes so awkward that there's nothing to say? Or
Never anybody getting mad. All of them have been there's been times where, I mean, every time it gets awkward. Like it does genuinely get awkward.
We're driving awkward into the ground.
Yeah, we are. It is. There are times during it where I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh my God, this could not be more awkward if I tried. Like, this is so bad.
Ooh.
But I would say that like, no one's ever gotten mad. And everyone usually, like, sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, people are like really... Like, I mean, I'm opening the door to roast me. So people they roast me.
So
they get me good.
What's the most uncomfortable interview that you've done? Or I guess awkward or roasting, however we put it into words. What's the one where you're like, oof?
My interview with Offset, he roasted me the whole time. He came.
Did you expect this though? Like, did he have the attitude of like, yo, blah blah blah, like when he came in, or was he kind of quiet and then he just came out of nowhere?
Oh, it kind of came. There was like a little bit of like before, like we talked and stuff, like with everyone in the room, and it was like pretty normal. I was unexpected. I was like, oh, I don't know. I just was like, oh my goodness, and we kind of just like roasted each other for it, but he's way better at it. I was like, oh my God, I don't know what I got myself into.
Okay, what was the interview that made you laugh the most?
Like watching it back.
Yeah, or watching it back, or maybe, I mean, during it. I don't know if I've ever really seen you laugh during it.
I always laugh. I always cut it. Offset, I laughed a lot during that interview. I cut out every time I laughed, though, because it was like so often we had to switch cameras to him because like I'm just over there like, oh my God. Like it would just be like he'd look down at my legs and be like, your legs are so ashy. And I was like, oh my God. Like I am... Like it was brutal. And then we have everyone in the room while we're recording. Like there's at least like 10 people in the room and they're all laughing too. So it's just like,
yeah, it's
pretty funny to be in the room during it.
So podcasts are obviously a form of entertainment, but it's also like a great way to tell stories. I mean, I know you've admitted that you're not like actually trying to be a good podcaster per se, but ultimately you want people to get something out of it. So has this character, or like even when you're talking about the interview with Offset or whoever, like has it ever stopped you from being able to actually get something good out of it?
I mean,
or do you care to get something good out of it?
I don't really care to get anything good out of it.
Wow.
I don't do any research before. I don't do...
Now, Bobbi, this is crazy.
I know. I also just like I don't want it to be like, I don't want to ask questions that are going to make the guest like uncomfortable. I'm not trying to get like viral clips in that sense. You know what I mean? I don't want to get like dirt on them or anything.
Yeah.
So it's like I kind of just don't want to even ask. Like I'm like there's no way I'm going to ask you anything that will make you like actually uncomfortable. I just want it to be like a fun, not real
just
interview.
Just entertainment.
Yes. Like not sometimes like I accidentally get out stuff that's like real, but like it's not intentional ever. It's just kind of like,
I know you mentioned it doesn't seem like people actually get the point of the show, or they don't understand where you're coming from. How does that sit with you? Like in a real way?
I mean, I do, like, I think that I thought that people would just, like, know that was a character, and I think there's a lot of people that are like, oh, no, that's just how she is in real life. So I've been trying lately to, like, make sure that there's, like, this is, like, I want to get into acting, and this has always been my, like...
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why I'm here, actually. Do you have anything you want to put me in?
Okay, so then you've always like had it. You maybe didn't have interest in journalism, but you had
in acting. So it was my way of like I no one's putting me in their movies right now or shows right now. So like this is kind of my way of like acting. So that's like what the character is just me like acting.
So then how do you like deal with the backlash? Especially like okay, so for like the Drake interview, and then it rolls over to the Yachty, then it rolls over to the Offset, and then there's like these Twitter threads where they like this white girl coming in hip hop and she's capitalizing off of it with this character that kind of like leans into some negative stereotypes. Like, do you care about that when you start doing your next interviews, or are you like what do you think when you read this stuff?
Well, so during it, everything kind of happened like I was like, I didn't, like I said, I don't really plan anything. So it's like my Drake interview happened just because like Funny Marco interview happened. Like he followed me from there, and then Drake told Yachty to come on. So then Yachty comes on, and then like Tyga followed me, so then I DM him, and I'm like, oh, do you want it? So it's like just whoever, but like I also asked a million other people too.
Yeah.
And it just happened to be like there was kind of like a connection in the beginning, and but I don't know. I definitely see what people say online.
It makes you go viral too.
I don't like to go viral for, like they say, all publicity is good. I don't love when I see publicity that's not good. At all. So yeah, I kind of like took a step back because I was like,
I was seeing a Twitter thread the other day. It was like, she only interviewing Jessica Alba and people like that now. So I was curious. I was like, did it kind of spook? Did you feel like, wait a minute, like I don't want to be negative, or was it just like what made you kind of take that step back?
The step back was just like my mental health was just not good at all. I mean, I had like my kids. I didn't realize too I had like the worst postpartum anxiety. Like, but I just
it sneaks up on you personally. Yeah, the anxiety and the postpartum. You're
and you don't realize that it's not like I'm like I don't want to be medicated. Like I'm fine. And then I got medicated, and I was like, oh my god, this is how normal people feel.
Yeah. So do you think that? I don't know. Like that was kind of the shtick. It was like, okay, she's like, there's this white girl who seems like super straight-laced. She's interviewing these hip-hop rappers. And that was kind of the thing that people were like, looking forward to. But then also people were like low-key hating on. And then it became this thing where it's like now people are coming on the show, like you said, just to roast or just to kind of like blow up the character in a way. Mm-hmm. How does that change your then trajectory?
I mean, I think I'm doing like the same thing I was doing in the beginning, which is just anytime I hear a cool name, I'm like, okay, I'll interview them.
Yeah.
So I need like anytime I find someone that I think would be a good guest, I'm like, okay. And again, I know who I am. I know that.
So who are you?
My name is Bobbi Althoff. I feel like because I have this podcast mic, by the way, it's so hard for me not to just like jump into like start interviewing you right now.
You can interview me too.
There we go. I know.
You're very good at deflecting and bouncing off.
I'm so good at that.
I'm really impressed with it.
Thank you. What was the question?
Well, the question actually, I got lost in my question, but I can rephrase. I can rephrase like a new one. But ultimately, how does it change your trajectory that people? Because this is the thing, right? Once people are aware of stuff, it kind of can take the fun out of it.
Yeah.
Because then you don't get to do your thing because it's like now they know what's going to come.
Yeah.
I mean, just how do you keep the shtick going when so many people are trying to like blow it up?
I mean, I want them to know it's like a fake thing. So I feel like it's pretty easy for me to keep up now. And it's like even more fun now if people really understand like that's not like you're just watching something purely for entertainment. It's not. Yeah. And now I've been able to like with the break and then coming back, like really decide like what I want this character to be. Because I didn't really get to put much thought into it before. But as far as like I don't know, like I want it to be more like comedy. So it's like I'm taking acting classes now. Like I'm really trying to like just, like I said, I want this.
And do you care like in terms of, so there's art, there's performance art, there's people that perform art, they want it to mean something or say something. There's also people that just want to perform art just to entertain you. But then when you get into like the cultural elements of it, genres, the different people you're interviewing, do you want to take that into account? Like, do you think like, okay, if I'm going to do the shtick, maybe I should be like conscientious of X, Y, and Z after having some of this like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, people really looking in and zeroing in. Like once you see these threads and that people take what they see so seriously, does it make you want to take it more seriously?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like don't want to offend anyone at all. Yeah. So like, I try to not offend people. Yeah. Like I spend my whole life trying not to offend anyone, like anyone at all. So yeah, I do. I definitely like take into account what I'm reading and stuff, and I don't want people to think. I mean, like I said, I know who I am, and that I genuinely like. I just found cool people that like I was shocked would ever come on my podcast, and it was like a very like of course I would interview them. Like every person I've interviewed, it's like I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe this person would ever like want me to interview them and go along with this. So yeah, but I definitely like do think of that and like see all of.
So how do you balance that and still performing your art? Because I mean, they're like, for instance, like I'll use somebody like Kanye West, for instance. His performance art can go so severe, right? But we love it. It's like it's crazy, and he'd be doing a lot of wild stuff. But also, it's kind of like a part of his character. And he seems really dedicated to trying to be so true to that, despite what anyone thinks. So for you, how do you balance still being able to give people entertainment, but not overly being affected by what they say or how they're going to take it?
I mean, I think I need to work on not caring so much about what people think, because like you look at Kanye West, he's so successful. And it's like, but you just can't care about what people say.
You can't. It's like, it depends. Like everybody, it depends on what kind of artist you want to be.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to just like I just am someone who cares way too much. So it'll put me in like, oh God, I'm not going to post for like 6 months because I'm like, how do I make everyone, I want everyone to like me. And then when they don't, I'm like, oh my gosh. But like in my ideal world, everyone just like loves me and like welcomes me with open arms. And like
Come
the
on,
real
ideal world.
I know, but in the real world, it's not like that. So it's like, yeah, I don't think I'll ever be someone who doesn't care about what people think, and I'll always be a people pleaser. So it's like,
okay. So what would you say to the people that feel like, okay, you're just capitalizing without concern? If that's not who you are, what would you say you are doing?
I don't think I was like capitalizing. I think I was just like taking people who I thought were really amazing and like interviewing them, but I didn't think more like deeply into that. And I can see how like I definitely can see how people would come to that conclusion. It's like it's crazy though, and I know a lot of people thought like I mean it's crazy. Like
Yeah.
Again,
Assuming it's a setup, or
Yeah,
assuming,
I mean,
or then there's always the industry plant gag.
I know.
You're not an industry plant, right?
I am, but
So wait, what is the industry plant to you?
I mean I don't truly like know.
What is
I
that?
feel like it means like I don't know. I mean like the industry is like helping
you
you.
were
Like I don't know
planted.
where. I know I applied and they were
So
like,
I guess
yeah.
what I think is an industry plant is. What I think industry plan is, it's like somebody that has been like that is tied to someone else in the industry and uses those connections
Okay.
to capitalize, and they like have zero talent.
That makes more sense than
you
what I
think-
thought it was. So I was like, they
What
just,
did you
like,
think it
I don't
was?
know, like some like the industry like comes
Planted
in
you.
and is like, hey, like we pick you. You're gonna be the next. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have any ties though, so I would love to have had ties. I feel like my life would have been a lot easier if I had ties. Don't have any ties.
Yeah.
Just have like.
Well, you do feel kind of planty. We do have the same manager, so is this?
I
kind
know,
of
isn't that
planted?
crazy?
Feels a bit planty.
This is definitely
you got
like
you got
Luke.
here in 5 minutes. It took me 20 years.
Hey, it has been a minute. 20 years. You started so young.
Yes, girl. I've been working hard.
Yeah, it did not take you. I think you're the real industry plant.
Do you think
here.
do you think that's representative of the times, or do you think that's
I don't
like
know. Like I
cultural?
don't know how you got in it. Like it's like I wanted to be like a child actress.
But it
Didn't.
happen.
It didn't happen.
Did you
for
tell
me.
your parents?
Yeah.
And they were like, "Fuck off." Or?
No, they were like, "We'll take you to like a scam LA thing where we like where we pay the little bit of money we have, and then we hope that you're gonna be an actress, and it doesn't amount to anything. So you go back to school and like and let your dreams die."
Wow. And then you just started it back up one day.
I
on
was like,
Instagram.
yeah,
You're
on
like,
TikTok.
"Oh, yeah, my
I was
dreams."
like, my dream. I want to be.
So what do you think the secret is? Like to the secret sauce of like going viral, of being a content creator.
So the secret to going viral is like, don't be afraid of being like embarrassing yourself. I to this day embarrass myself all the time. Like really put yourself out there. I'm like, I know a lot of people who definitely are like, oh, well, what will people think if I post this? But I just say like post everything. I'm also just like a chronic like oversharer. So that
Yeah.
really helped me on the podcast or like not on in the internet because it's just like I have no problem sharing all of my insecurities. I have no problem sharing things that are like, I'm like my boobs. Like I was so embarrassed about that. And I was like, let me just like make fun of myself for this.
It's interesting because it's almost as if you're like an extreme contradiction, which we all are, right? Because on one hand, it's like I'm awkward, I'm insecure, I'm X, Y, and Z, but then also like lean in, show it all.
On the internet,
what is this?
It feels like it's
is
not
this,
real
Bobbi?
life. It's so
Interesting.
weird because I can be like, look at my, I would never walk into like a store with my boobs, like showing that they're like the different sizes. I would not, like I go as far as to like put a pad in one size so they look even in real life. So it's like on the internet, I feel like I can be like very, I don't know, because it doesn't feel real.
I do kind of understand this because there is this thing with the internet where you kind of feel like you don't really know me for real, so I
Yeah.
can kind of just like be
Yeah.
a version of myself that isn't really real. But then do you get lost then at that point? Do you get lost in the character? Like, do you get lost in your life? Like, do you get lost of what, like who you want to be online and who you really are?
I mean, I feel like I can't possibly get lost. My life at home is so boring. Like it's not like it's a complete like
What's your life at home?
I'm just a mom with kids who are like attached to me and I cannot like
How old are
I
your
loved
kids?
walking into your house, by the way. I was like, I should have brought my kids with me. Like they
Oh,
would have
yeah.
had so much fun
Girl, you
here.
see, we got the ball pit.
Yes.
My son, he has way too much. He's not even a year old yet. He can barely use
I
all
know.
this
I was like,
stuff.
how old is he?
Girl, I act like I got a
one. I was like,
5-year-old.
oh my goodness. He is living a great life up there.
We call him Master Leo. You know, he is the master.
He He really has like every toy imaginable. My kids would have loved to be here. They'd be so
How old
loud
are
and
your
so
kids?
annoying. 1 and 3.
1 and 3. So you're at home, you're a mom.
Yeah.
That's your everyday.
That's my everyday. It's just
And then you like go and you escape in your content creation. and
yeah,
your
once a
podcast.
week I go do some work. They know mommy goes to work, and they're like, I don't want you to go. And I'm like, I do though. I need some space here.
Okay, so you've interviewed, some of the biggest celebrities from like we were talking about, Drake, Offset, Lil Yachty, Scarlett Johansson, Mark Cuban. Let's be real. How the hell did you get all these people to come on? You're just a mom creator, and then you do the podcast. How the hell did you get all these people to come on your show? It was just that one interview with Funny Marco?
Yeah.
Love Funny Marco, by the way. Shout
I
out to
know.
him. So you did that interview with him. You guys both have similar shticks.
Yeah.
Different variations, but a lot of people felt like you stole his shtick.
I know.
How did you feel about that?
I was just like,
Did you steal his shtick?
I did. I'm so sorry, Marco. It's up.
Well, I guess everybody says it was really
we both stole Zach Galifianakis, and we owe him an apology because we've made a lot of money off of stealing his shtick. But I don't know, like so the way that I found Funny Marco is because someone commented under my page and was like, you have such a similar sense of humor to Funny Marco, and I was like, who's that?
Baby, this is Keke Palmer, yeah.
You know what's gonna happen? All the comments are gonna be filled with people being like, why the fuck does she have her on her podcast?
Right. I do wonder what do you think they're gonna say when they see you on the podcast?
I don't know. I never know. You just like throw it out there and you're like, I hope they might hate me, they might like me. I don't know.
They wanted you to answer to some things. I know. I feel like we've been talking about it. You've been answering to the things, the questions that the people have been saying.
I'm trying my best.
You're getting into it. Okay, so like I said, you interviewed all these people. How did you get them on your podcast? What was the trick?
The trick, persistence. Don't be afraid of. I like Funny Marco. I was like, I'm gonna. At the time, like he had such a large following, and I was like, he is so famous. How am I ever gonna get him on the podcast? I remember he was like there's no way he's actually going to come on this. Yeah. And I posted a story and I was like, Funny Marco, come on my podcast and I'll give this girl money if you do. And he was like, okay. And I was like, no way. And he came to my house and he did it. And then then he called me one day and was like, look, Drake followed you. And I was like, oh, no way. I go look and I was like, no way. What the hell? Like, what? I didn't follow him. Like, I was like, this is crazy. And then he was like, he followed you and liked our clip together. So I was like, that feels like he wants to be on my podcast. And I was like, he's not going to say yes though. I was like, there's no way if I DM him, he's going to say yes. So I waited on it like a day. I was like, and then a day and I was like, so when are you, I don't know what I said. I was like, so when are you coming on my podcast? And then it happened.
Drake came on your podcast. What were you thinking? Like, I know you said you don't prepare, but this is motherfucking Drake. You listen to Drake's music?
Yeah, I have. I think everybody.
Yeah,
does.
Yeah. If you didn't, it was a trick question.
I was like, I don't know that anybody.
Love me. Like, come on. So Drake came on, and what was the beef? What was the thing? What was the thing that went viral with you and Drake, where they're like, the unfollow? What happened with that? Why did he unfollow you?
I guess we'll never know.
When's the last time you talked to him?
Like a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago.
So that's your homeboy for real.
He's
breaking news.
He's a very nice person, and he's definitely clearly changed the trajectory of, that was a big word.
He did change it.
Changed my whole career. So I found
out about you from him. So
I think he either him or Funny Marco, but both of them definitely changed my whole entire life. So
look at you giving the black people props.
Oh,
yes.
They definitely did. There's no without them, it's like I was still going to be like posting with my 100K views and not. It was a crazy, because of who Drake is,
Yeah.
Like I remember him in his Degrassi days. It's like, that interviewing him is going to change your career. Like it was something I knew would happen. I was like, when it was before it happened, I was like, and then sitting on the interview for a while was like the craziest thing. Like I have this interview that I'm going to post, and I'm like, oh my God, just any day now I can post this interview, and it's gonna change my life, and it did. And
it did change your life. You got more amazing guests. It's so interesting, this whole just the trajectory of all of this. If somebody that is quote unquote self-proclaimed awkward, kind of like, I don't want to say insecure because we're all insecure, but just unsettled. how has all that popularity changed you in your real life?
I mean, I'm sure you get recognized like way more than I do, but after that whole thing, I feel like I can't leave the house without like at least one person saying something. Sounds so stupid.
It doesn't sound stupid.
Like,
I don't.
It happens.
I believe
it's like
you.
I went very viral for a minute there. I mean, it's Drake, and everybody knows who he is. So.
Yeah.
I just wear a hat and a mask every time I leave the house now, and I don't really notice it. And like at home, my life is like pretty normal. Like my kids don't care about anything I do. They wish I didn't work. Like, my life is like, pretty the same. I feel like
just
at home.
the being noticed and kind of the public.
That's the weird thing. I don't know how you have lived your life so long like that, because it's definitely
get used to it.
You just
get used to it,
but you can't do like anything. Like you just know.
I'm not Michael
watched.
freaking Jackson, but
you are. You're very famous.
Why would I do he? So, I guess what I also want to know is, has that confidence given you the energy to want to do more? Like when you think about your podcast, how do you see it evolving? I know you said you want to act. This is just like a performance sketch character. You're gonna keep doing it, but what else would you want to add?
I mean, I don't know. I just want it to be like, so I am a huge fan of The Office, like a huge fan of like
that tracks.
how it like just the awkwardness of it, or like Modern Family, or just like anything like that that's just awkward, dry humor. So I just want my podcast to start like mimicking kind of that style. More so than it does now. So I've been trying to like playing with like having a little bit more of like when we first meet and stuff, but like faking the like, just have it just be like kind of a TV show, and then maybe one day a real TV show would be amazing.
Sketch. It's giving. I'm about to try to get into this sketch comedy life. So then, how does that change and impact your guests? Like I said, people really are. Anytime somebody that seems like an outsider of hip hop culture makes their way in, that's like a big thing. And there's always the commentary of like, are you going to stay in that space, right? But obviously, there's also the reality as a creative, you want to branch out. It's like, I want this space and that space and this space and that space. How do you see balancing getting in all those worlds? Or for you, is everybody just a guest?
I definitely don't want to feel like I'm just like coming in and like taking over and being like, And again, I know there's like incredible journalists and stuff. I think the celebrities go to me because I'm not a journalist. Like,
well, it gives an opportunity for us to see a different side of them.
Yes.
I think that, same thing with Funny Marco.
Yeah, exactly. And Funny Marco gets like amazing guests. Like he just got Kevin Hart, and I love Kevin Hart, and I'm so like, good. He's great, and it's like, so he gets like incredible guests, and I think it's just like a fun way. And Marco and I have just like, he's just, I mean, like I will say he's like definitely funnier than me. The things that he says, I'm like, I learn a lot from him, and he always tells me too, because I'll be like, Marco, like, you're so funny. And he's like, like we all like get inspiration from each other and stuff. And like, he doesn't, think that when people say like, oh my gosh, you're copying him. It's like, I never tried to, but he does inspire me for sure.
And I think it's difficult too, right? Because it's like, it's not even about like necessarily who's copying who, right? Because we do all get inspired from each other. Mm-hmm. I think that's like valid. I mean, if you're in comedy or if you're in anything, we all, producers, sampling, etc. It happens. There's cross contamination. I guess the real thing is like what people get out of the outcome. But I don't know if you really are responsible for that, right? If somebody looks at Funny Marco and they look at Bobbi and they're like, well, why Funny Marco not getting what Bobbi getting? Why Bobbi getting, and Funny Marco been? I mean, how do you grapple with that? I mean, it's not, some of it's systemic, but I mean, how do you grapple with that when people are saying that? Because it's actually not true, right? Funny Marco is successful.
Yeah, he's
but the comparison
more
quite
successful
unfair.
than I am too, I'm sure.
But the comparison's unfair because you guys are two totally different people in the eyes of the world.
Yeah, no, I get it. And like, again, I had never seen Funny Marco before I did my interview with him, which is crazy. Like, I'm just on a different side. Now I'm not. Like,
yes, it's
I'm
Black Twitter, white Twitter. No.
I'm not on Black Twitter. So it's like, but yeah, I like. I mean, I think he's like incredible. I also think it was a way to like open up to like people who like my followers are obviously very different than his followers before that. Now they're like more merged, I would say.
Yes,
and it's like, but
everybody's
it's like,
audience is getting bigger.
Yeah, and it's like, it's definitely like he gained a lot of followers from us, like from us working together and stuff. So I do think like that it's beneficial to both of us. And I do think like, again, if there's any celebrity that takes any advice from me, it's like he's a great person to go on to. And I don't think there's like pick one or the other, like do both, that they're both going to go viral. Like it's not.
I think that's important to say.
Yeah.
It is, especially in the time that we're in now and like us being able to spread just like everything across the board. You know what I mean? And make sure that we're bringing everything we can to both audience and that there's something beneficial. It's like that phrase, like a fair exchange isn't a robbery. So as long as the exchange is fair, and like you said, if you feel like, you know, there's something you're offering, you're bringing to that person, and they feel that way back, then yeah. Like the people that come on your show, whether it's Drake or Jessica Alba or Offset or Lil Yachty or, you know, Mark Cuban, then it works. So
yeah. And like I said, it's like, I think that I'm not trying to like steal from him at all, and we understand that on like and that's why we were gonna do our tour together and everything. It was like,
oh, wait a minute, what's this tour?
We were going to.
So what happened, Miss Lady? This would have been bomb.
I was like so not well mentally at that point in my life, like just so not well mentally. And I like called Marco, and the tour was like scheduled for like 2 weeks before. I don't know. I think somebody can like date that. And I was like, Marco, I'm so sorry, but like we're not prepared. Like I'm not prepared. I am so like my life at home right now. I'm so sad. Like I'm so
aside
depressed.
From the mom stuff, what was it just the weight of the success?
Yeah, I was just like, my personal life was just like depressing at the time. I was, you know, going to therapy and stuff, and I was like, Marco, and at that time I started to feel like I didn't know how people were going to perceive me, and I was like very scared of like getting on a stage. I don't get on stages. Like part of like, I told you, I can be my like ridiculous behind a screen. A stage is like different. There's a lot of people in real life. Like, what if I say something and they don't laugh? Like, then it's just like, or I was like, Marco's so much better at this. This is his career. Like, he does this. I was like, I am not prepared. And then I also think I just like had around like the same few weeks, I had like a hernia surgery, and then I broke my foot, and then I was just like, I'm everything that's happening to me, so I stopped it. But like, hopefully we can resume that when I've prepared myself. Because
so what do you feel like is the skill set that you had, like when you talk about like, oh, Funny Marco was ready, or just like in it, what did you feel like you needed to like get back up on your game on in order to be able
I need
to
to learn from more people like him, because it's like he is so
more improv.
Yes, I do want to take improv classes, but the problem with improv classes is that like there's so many people in there, and I haven't worked up the like courage to go do that.
You need to stop playing. Like you know what I mean? Like you be doing the thing. You can do the thing. You be doing the thing.
That's so I want to do. I mean,
you basically do improv on your show.
I do. I just can't imagine going in a room full of people who do improv and know. But like Marco's improv is unreal. Like he's so good at it. I don't get like sometimes I'm like, how do you think of this stuff? Like when he's so funny. So it's like I looked at him and I was like, you're great on stage. I, on the other hand, have never done that. Like
stage is different. I'm not even gonna hold you. It's the same difference between like, there's some actors that are like, oh yeah, film and TV, love it. I could never do Broadway. I could never do theater. So it's the same thing. It's not weird what you're saying. But that's why I was curious of like, what areas did you want to get stronger at so that you could do something like that?
Yeah, I don't know. I need to get better. Like I'm taking an acting class. I want to take improv classes. I want to just like really, I'm all about like, I know that I'm not like, a lot of people are like, she's not even funny. I feel like I'm a little bit funny. Like I'm a little funny.
I think that you are funny, but sometimes when you say, you undercut yourself actually, because you're like, oh, no, it's like, I'm not doing anything. And so then that's like, well, if she's not doing anything, she's not funny. But you are doing something. I need to get past, so like, the thing that does hold me back, even in interviews, from like being, I think, more funny, is that I got super, like, there's usually people watching, and I'm like so shy around people watching, and then I'm like, okay, I can't like, so anytime, like, I remember Tyga, that was I've never felt more uncomfortable in an interview in my life, only because there were people watching. I'm kidding.
Exactly. Thank you. There were so many people. We did it at a public zoo.
Yeah.
And I was like,
but you got to cut that out, girl. If you're going to be doing a public, nobody, you got to, you know what I mean? Hey, you chose this.
I know. You would think I didn't. You would think someone was like, go right there right now and like do this. And I'm like, please, no. If we're like if we're in a closed room and it's like there's only maybe the cameraman, I'm fine. The second you start to like add people to it, I'm like, oh my God, I cannot. I wish I could be more like, I want to care a little less about what people think in my life.
Yeah, and I think you also like, if your thing is being awkward, then like really go ham on it. Like it's cool. Like go ham. I think there are a lot. I mean, that's a style.
Yeah.
So it's like, don't be shy about it. I know. Go keep going in on, because you be doing it already. I think again in the beginning people are like, oh yeah, it's like one side is like, oh, she just being playing up whatever. And then other people are like, yo, I think she's really actually, is she a comedic? Like, is she really X, Y, and Z? So if that's you, then I just say lean into it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to take that advice.
Yes.
Baby, this is Keke Palmer, yeah.
Okay, so what do you want people to know about you? I mean, you always interviewing other people, but I mean, I'm interviewing you. I was trying to really get into it and ask you the right questions.
You're good at
That
this.
want to know.
You're great.
Thank you. So is there something that you really like just would want people to know that I didn't ask you?
I don't know. I'm definitely not an industry plant. I like struggled most of my life, and I've always wanted, like, I feel this is like the first time in my life where I feel really good. Like, I feel happy with where I am, and I feel like my whole life was like just looking at other people be successful and being like, oh, I wish that could be me so bad. And you know, like, just the like everyone, even like, it's just funny because like as a child, people who were like middle class, they made it. Like, I wanted to be middle class so bad. I wish my family could be middle class.
They're trying to
I was
disappear
like,
it right now.
huh?
They're trying to disappear the middle class.
Yeah, no. I know. It's like, oh, now it's like even harder,
like you rich and
especially
you
like,
poor type vibe.
yes, it's really, and it's also really hard because now I have, you know, I have more money, but I like, it's hard to see people who don't, and now because it's just like I feel like there's such a gap, and it's like I wish I could like do more to help people who don't.
Yeah, but then
like,
you be broken and your
then
kids
I don't have.
nothing.
I know. I know. I'm like it's like my dad. I go to his house recently, and he doesn't like my whole entire life. It's like your dad's house is getting foreclosed. I don't know how that man still has his house because it's like
he keep
always
getting them loans.
He is the type of person who like my whole childhood would like print out the registration on the car and then use the same one for all the cars. You know, like photo paper on all of them. We were always a little scared. Like I was always like, you're going to jail. So he like he is just like, I go to his house and it's like I look at it and it's like I want to like help him, but I'm like I can't give all of my money trying to like help. And it's like, you know, it's just really.
What area did you grow up?
I grew up, so I always say, because I'm like embarrassed of the city that I grew up in.
Wow.
I always say Corona because people are like,
the IE.
but I'm from Paris, California, which no one knows where that is.
Is it still the IE?
It is, but it's like really deep in Riverside. It's not like I crossed over from like my mom lied about my address.
Yeah. So you go to school?
We're like in good school.
Yeah,
so I went to school 20 minutes away and like pretended to come from the houses right there. And my dad's like,
nice houses.
Corona is. They're like, yeah, those people like drove
Hills,
really
them,
nice
all
cars
them,
too. I was like, okay.
And then now you
who's
live
buying
where?
you? And now I live in LA.
Okay.
Yeah. I like my whole life I like dreamt of like just like I want a nice car. I want like not even a nice car. I just wanted a car that wasn't in high school. I had a hatchback and that was not cool. Like it was a Honda CR-V.
But now
it was not,
hatchback is
they
eating
are
down.
now.
If you had an old school hatchback right now, I'd be like, oh, she's stylish.
No, I was not. It was not. I would park at the church down the street because I didn't want people to see me go to my car. I was like, oh my, because they all had like nice cars, like.
So who's your inspo?
Sedans. My inspo. I don't for like podcasting for like
somebody like for me, like I have a couple of different inspirations, right? But I mean, I love like Eddie Murphy, Will Smith, Brandy, Oprah Winfrey. Who are some of your inspos?
I mean, I love Kevin Hart. I think that he's like he's just very funny.
Amazing at branding.
Yeah, he's so good at it. Have you had
Universally.
his fast food place? Is really he just does so many cool things. Like, I really like his style of comedy. Like, I just think that Marco is still a huge inspiration. I see his clips on my page all the time, and I'm like always the first to like them because I'm just like he is so good.
Yeah.
And then like Aubrey Plaza, I think is very.
Oh yes. Did you interview her yet?
No, I would love to.
Girl, that would
love
be
her.
like, she's really boom, 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 boom. Y'all I feel like you guys have a
love her.
total same vibe.
Yeah.
And she goes so dark in a way that feels
I've heard
good.
she never like breaks out of character though. Like she's always that person.
It's like
I'm
performance art in being an actor.
Yes.
She really doubled in it.
She really did.
Very meta.
I wanna meet her though. I'm like, I don't know, would that be really weird? I wonder like our personality.
It'd be like a mirror.
It's like
it's like
just go
Spider-Man.
It could be really good or really bad. So I don't know. Maybe not.
I think it would be really, really good.
I just met Rainn Wilson and I was like, I love Dwight from The Office.
Boom.
I was like, that's gonna be funny because like he
was iconic in that role.
He was. I know. He was really funny in there. And then so yeah.
Okay,
people
love that.
Just awkward people.
Well, on the show, first of all, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, seriously. But before we finish up, I know we got to wrap things up with like a quick little game. Okay, that's the way we do things here. So this game is called questions that need to be answered. And it's pretty simple. I'm going to ask you a question that the people are dying to know. You're going to answer, and that's it. You ready?
Okay.
Okay. Who's been your favorite guest you've had on the podcast?
Oh my God. This is hard. Can it be like a tie?
Sure.
It's a tie between like Drake and Scarlett Johansson.
Now, why Scarlett? I didn't see Scarlett. I mean, I know Drake one was good too, and obviously he's Drake and Scarlett is Scarlett, but like what specifically that you loved about her?
So I'm so sad that one will never like see the light of day. But
So why won't they? Why?
just like it came down to like branding and stuff. So at the end, like hopefully I can work with her again and it can actually come out. But like she was so funny, and like I didn't know, it was unexpected, but like she played off my character really well, and I got to. It's so funny because people were like, "You were so nice to her," and I was like, "I wish you could see the full interview," because it was. I was like, it was very like. She played off of it so well, and at times I was like, I think she hates me, and I was like, this is great. But and then after, she was so sweet and like, yeah,
I wish we could
really
see it.
I know, me too.
up.
You have the one clip, so replay.
Okay, how do you feel about being compared to Amelia, aka my chicken shop date girl?
I mean, I definitely. So I've seen a couple of her episodes. I think I've seen.
I
one.
live for her.
She's
dope.
Yeah,
She interviewed me once.
Did she?
Yeah.
That's
It was
so
a fun
funny.
interview.
I'm sure she. My little sister, I remember her showing me. I remember being like pregnant with my second kid or something.
Yeah.
And she showed me one of her episodes, and we binge watched her things.
Yeah.
And but like, yeah, people think that I like ripped her off, and I'm like, I think our style of comedy is very different. Like there's similarities, but
They're
like
similar, but she's more.
she's
upbeat.
more awkward. Like she's just more like leans into like not. She's not like uncomfortable. She's
And it
like,
seemed like she
yeah.
come with a game plan. Like
yeah,
she's very
yeah.
like.
She like
specific.
researches these people.
yes.
Like she's actually interviewing.
Yeah, she has some journalism background.
She's too good for me too.
She's not
so.
winging it, so to speak.
No, I'm like not. She's better than me. That's
I'm
it.
howling. I know you've joked that you only read positive comments, but obviously through this conversation, I know you see the negative ones too. I mean, how often do you look at them? Like when you were talking about the mental health thing, and then I mean, I'm going to be honest. Has it ever gotten to a point where you were like, "This is actually good"? So I mean, how did you change your dialogue with the negative comments?
I feel like I just was at dinner with someone and actually said, like, I feel like sometimes the negative comments are like helpful. Like just not negative, or like this morning I posted a video of like my outfit, and I like everyone said I look like Slenderman in this jacket, and I was like, thank you. That
the jacket is big, but that's the point.
I was like, it's an oversized. They were like,
Yeah.
girl, this is like a size too big. I was like, this is an extra small. Like, what do you want from me?
it's giving
not-
working girl.
I'm like, I thought I was like all. So those comments, I don't see the. I mean, you could have kept that to yourself. Honestly, you didn't need that. But the comments that are like about, you know, my approach or anything about like where I could be funnier and stuff, I actually think they're helpful.
So you like constructive criticism?
Yeah, I love constructive criticism.
That's
Don't criticize me too much after I said that. But like, I do like, I listen to like everything. I mean, like I said, I'm a people pleaser. So maybe that's like to a fault, but I read them all, and I'm like, I read way too much. Like
I read my comments
do
too.
you?
I mean, I'm a little bit topsy-turvy on the constructive criticism, because if I don't see 3 Academy Awards in your bio, then why am I taking the criticism for you? So I'm a little bit, you know, it's like I take, but when people are like, I want to see more of something.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I mean.
Get your feedback
Yes.
from your fans. Like, what more
Yes.
would y'all like to see? What kind of guests would you like to have? All of that stuff.
Yeah.
I definitely think the internet, that's its strongest suit.
Yes.
When you are an entertainer, is to actually like
Use their
tune in.
feed-
Yes,
yeah, I
use them
do.
as a bouncing board
Yeah.
of what things to do, but still maintaining
Yeah,
who
yeah,
you
yeah.
are type of bounce.
Yeah, I
So
definitely.
I feel you on that.
I definitely try to do that.
What does your family think of your career?
They were like, we always thought she'd do something one day. So like they kind of I
They
mean, like
saw
I
this
said,
for
we
you.
huh?
They saw this.
Yeah,
for you.
because like I said, we were going to like little scam classes and stuff. So it's like, oh look, finally something came of all of this.
Yeah. Do you
She's
feel
been trying
like
so long.
were you always like kind of like shy, like awkward vibe, or did kind of that experience create that for you? And what I mean by that is, you know how sometimes when you want to do something and it doesn't work out, and that kind of like changes you. Were you always like you are now, or when you didn't get a chance to kind of explore that side through entertainment early on, did you become how you are now?
I think
as
I've
a result of
always
it?
been like, I wanted to be like up and talking in front of people, but always been so awkward about it. Like I've always felt awkward. I just have like, I don't know. I think I have really bad social anxiety.
It's like watch me shine, but like
Yeah, but
I'm
like,
scared
wait a
to
minute.
shine?
Yeah, no, I'm like,
Yeah.
I've always been like, okay, like I would be the one to like be sing at like a talent show, but then I'd be like,
Yeah, it's like, give me the stage, y'all, but
But like, wait a minute.
close it down.
Wait, don't look though.
That seems like so hard. It's so internally hard.
It is. It's a struggle. I'm like, I thought that if I treated my anxiety, I was like, will I even be myself anymore if I treat my anxiety? Because like, then I'll just be like not anxious. But I don't, like, the dose I'm on right now is already pretty high. I can't imagine any higher. I'd be like.
Okay. My last question before I let you go is, who is your audience? Like, who are the people that, obviously everybody that entertains wants everybody to be their audience, so that's a given. But like, if you're like thinking specifically the person that you're talking to, who's the person? Who are the people?
I feel like my audience now is like, so before interviewing Drake, it was like, or even Funny Marco, I would
Just
say.
moms.
It was just like, I think it was 98%.
Moms are so universal and unique.
I know, yeah. It was like 98% women.
Yeah.
And now it's like 60. So it's gone way not just women anymore. I don't know who my audience is anymore. Like, it's anyone who thinks I'm funny, I guess, and like understands that it's a bit. I assume most people following me understand that it's a bit. I would hope so.
Yeah.
Or they just
whether they like it or not.
They're like,
bit
yes,
is the bit.
It's fun to watch. It's entertaining if you're into it. If you're like, yeah, and I mean, if you think it's real, then it's entertaining in like a way that I don't want it to be, but yeah.
Well, Bobbi, thank you so much.
Thank you. And your house is beautiful.
Oh,
and your son is so cute too.
Oh, stop. I really do appreciate you coming on the show. It's my first guest that I've ever had in person. I don't really have guests in person.
You
so
should
this is
start.
really
This is the cutest set ever.
Thank you.
It's amazing. But thank you for having me.
Thanks so much. I honestly appreciate Bobbi coming on the show. You know, I'm not sure if I really got to meet her or if I did get to meet her. I'm still quite unsure of how this has all happened. But what I will say is sometimes it makes sense to put on a facade. And with that, I thank you guys for joining me today for another episode. I know I'll see you here next week, right? Because you know it's your girl.
Baby, this is